is everybody doing tonight? Let some people get in here and we'll start talking about some stuff. Alfred, what's up? Quick Wrench, what's going on? Michael, what's up? Northern Grit, hey. It sounded a little, hey, Mike, Northern Grit. Not, you know. Paulo, what's up? The old Budweiser commercial, what up? All right, we got some people in here. So the first thing I wanted to talk about was, well, Sunday is my wife's birthday. Alfred Hammerstein. I only here because I thought you were Scotty. Brian McFarland, what's up? That was a thumbnail picture that I did not use. Michael Faraday, not much, mate. It's 12:30 a.m. here in the UK. Well, already, yeah. You guys are that far ahead. So Sunday is my wife's birthday. And a year ago, on my wife's birthday, I was fired. So it's been a year since I have been free from that shop. So it's easy to remember the anniversary considering I got fired on my wife's birthday. So, but I'm free now. So just little history. Cause you know, considering, you know, Sunday, it'll be a year. I'll be gone. So I'm quite happy about that. So anyway, the other kind of main talking thing I wanted to talk about is see what y'all think. I know most of you know Chris Enright, who does a lot of shorts and that kind of stuff. Paulo, happy birthday, hon. I got 2 in the hat today. I don't know what 2 in the hat means, but okay. He did a short TikTok or whatever comparing a lot of the content that's aimed towards men of, you know, how women pose in, you know, videos compared to, you know, obviously they're attracting a certain client, a certain viewer with how they position themselves and that kind of stuff. So I thought it was hilarious because you see it all over all the social medias where, I mean, you'll see obviously Photoshop pictures of actresses that they've blown stuff up and stuff like that. And it's, unfortunately, men are kind of pigs and will click on it. So you go where the clicks are. Foxbox923, I'm kind of in a bad situation at my place of employment. That sucks, man. I've been there. Your video struck a chord with me when you said, I wish I left sooner. I do. I really do. I wish I had gotten out of there a lot sooner. It'd have been a lot better for me personally. You know, pulled the string, you know, pull the Band-Aid off and just deal with the pain and move on. Paulo, 2 in the hat, old time expression for getting shot twice in the head. Oh, well, that sucks. Yeah, no, I mean, it does. It's, I think a lot of people, You know, I talk a lot about it in videos, but I'm a rare person when it comes to how vocal I am when it comes to things. You know, I guess part of the reason why I have a YouTube channel is I'm outspoken, but I'm outspoken in real life too. When I see things I don't agree with, I'm going to talk about it. I'm going to bring it up. And most people are not that confrontational. They just take it and take it and take it. Even you can even ask people that have a huge problem and they may not even speak up. So, you know, hopefully you get out of that bad situation. You know, hopefully you can move on, find a better place to work, because it does. It sucks. It brings your whole life down. I mean, I can attest to that. My entire family likes me a whole lot more now that I don't work there. I mean, you know, I'm not coming home pissed off. I'm not, you know, dreading going to work on Monday. It sucks. Michael Faraday, been working self-employed now for 3 years. It's tough AF, but wouldn't go back for working for someone else. I can understand that. You know, I mean, opening a shop where I live is just a nightmare. There's literally no place to open a shop that isn't already a shop. Paulo Goodfellows, we had to sit still and take it. Yeah, no, I mean, that's what happens in you know, trust me, it's not unique to our industry. So many people just sit there and deal with it and deal with it and deal with it. And it just, you know, it just builds up until they kind of just get sick of it and either quit on the spot or get completely pissed off, quit on the spot, or it's, you know, like, I need to find a new place to work now. And, you know, I've heard so many shop owners talk about exit interviews and all that. And if they didn't tell you what was wrong when they were employed by you, they're not going to tell you what's wrong now that they don't work for you. And it doesn't really net good information. So in a lot of cases, not every case, but, you know, anyway, don't want to go down that rabbit hole in this video. But anyway, we got any tool questions? Paulo, it's hard to quit when you might lose your health insurance. Yep. Yes. No, it's, I mean, you know, if we want to talk about it, I mean, it's a huge deal, you know, as my ex-boss always told me how expensive my health insurance was, because I was on, you know, because I was on the old system where my entire family was covered and paid for by, you know, the company. So all my, you know, my wife and kids were covered, and it was, you know, $11,000 and it was $14,000 and it was $16,000. And he always had to remind me how much my health insurance was. I didn't make the deal. I just took advantage of it. But yeah, no, that was a huge, you know, problem that is not easily solved. You know, my wife now works for a company that provides her health insurance, pays for her health insurance. So you know, I'm having to insure me and the kids. So, you know, my 21-year-old and 19-year-old are still on my health insurance. They still live in the house. So Dragon Blue 68 gets really hard changing jobs after 50. I don't know how true that is. It's definitely going to be, you're definitely not going to get hired to and expected by a lot of shops to turn, 60, 70, 70, 80 hours a week, but it's not hard to get a job in a good market. Preface that by a good market like Atlanta at 50, because I turned 50 this year. So Eric Jano, best bench grinder. Probably the best ones are probably old used ones, honestly. The old big, if you can find a really good old bench grinder that still works, replace the cord on it, maybe put a new switch in it and rock and roll with that. Because a lot of the new ones are just kind of not that strong. And, I haven't had too many. I think we had one Craftsman at the old shop die. And I think every other shop that I've ever worked at just had a mix of old bench grinders. So I haven't really seen a whole lot. Trying to think, because some of the newer ones at the old shop were a different brand, but I don't remember what they were. They didn't, they weren't that old. So, but yeah, used bench grinders are probably going to last a lot longer than the new cheap Chinese stuff. Because I haven't seen much in the way of good American. Nobody, we rephrase that. Japanese and Chinese are the only ones in Taiwan that make motors anymore, as far as electric motors that aren't, lithium ion. And I doubt they're going to be that good. Thoughts on the Hercules 20-volt vacuum pump? Well, all that's coming up is wet dry vacs. I'm guessing you're talking about a vacuum pump for AC. Clarify that in the comments. Sarah, Canadian Diesel, do you think Snap-on will ever wake up and drop the prices to help techs and be a good guy company that cares about their customers like they used to do back in the 60s and 80s? No. No. The tool end of Snap-on's business is not that large of a business comparatively to what else they do. Snap-on owns Bean, they own Hoffman, they own Challenger lifts, they own Wheeltronics, they own all those companies, and they produce a lot of equipment for the industry, and that's where a lot of their income comes from. It's not from the tool trucks. The tool trucks are at this point a side business. I mean, they probably make more off of government tool contracts than they do off of what they sell to technicians. So I don't think they really are going to, it really doesn't matter to them, even if that business went away. Michael Faraday, tool question. You thinking about buying a cheap scope as a backup? Currently running the Veris Edge. Can you recommend a good budget option? AES Wave, the U scope is a good little one-channel scope as a backup or convenient little one, or the M-Sig handheld. They have a nice all-in-one unit that looks pretty good. That's pretty affordable as well. Or you can go to a Hanatech scope. that would be the progression I would kind of go. Backup scope, the MSIG is, going to be really good for just almost anything you're going to use your Snap-on for, and that'd be a good option for budget. Alfred, it's not out yet. Okay. So I assume you're talking about a vacuum pump for air conditioning. It'll be fine. Vacuum pumps don't really pull that many amps. It's just an electric motor and a vacuum pump motor. So it should be fine as long as it's manufactured halfway decently, and, obviously the tool itself can hold vacuum. So, but yeah, it should be fine. Brian McFarland, it's always best to get OEM brake rotors, or are there as good or better rotors for less money at Rock Auto, etc., or any third-party brands that you like? Akabono, Brembo are okay. For me, normally on a brake job, Akabono rotors, if those weren't available, Bosch were generally pretty good. And then the Napa premium rotors are also pretty decent. The least amount of trouble I've had is from Akabono rotors. They're probably going to be a premium cost as far as that. But like my wife's is horrible on brakes on her Equinox, and currently has, I didn't replace her brake pads because of noise or anything like that, or they weren't grinding. It was because they were vibrating like hell. Whatever Carvana put on them, but I put Akabono on is my first choice. Sarah, Canadian Diesel, any Baldor bench grinder will be the boss. They make it, the Magnum. Foxbox 923, thoughts on Makita? Makita's okay. They don't make a whole lot of automotive stuff really specific. They've kind of tickled the way into the industry. They used to be huge. Like everybody back in the day had the Makita, what was it, 9.6 flashlight. Like everybody that had rechargeable flashlights had one. I did not. I never bought one of those. I just thought it was so bulky. And after I bought a, not LED, but fluorescent drop light, that's pretty much what I used until I got a, actual rechargeable flashlight. Before that, I used a mag light. That was pretty much what I used if I was using a flashlight back then. But, they really haven't done much to really innovate in the automotive space. So James Jones, looking at a standalone scope because I'm not a fan of the Autel scope and how limited it is. Any suggestions for which model, Pico or other brand? PicoScope. PicoScope, I would just go ahead and get the 4425A 4-channel scope, and I would get the most equipped kit you can get from like AES Wave. They are, that's where I bought my PicoScope, is AES Wave. I don't have the current one. I've got the older model. It still works, for the fancy connectors, that power stuff and like that. I'm not really worried about it, but that's what I would get. I think ATS. Let's test solutions. Yeah, see, ATS used to have a handheld 4-channel that was really cool, but they, I guess, discontinued it because all they have is the ATS Elite 8. So, your other option is ATS. The scope specs, as far as the actual box itself, is slightly better with the ATS scope for automotive. Excuse me. But the software is not as intuitive to me, and its GUI is very very 1980s kind of, that's the GUI. It just kind of looks very, very dated. It's a very powerful scope. So, and it does stuff that the PicoScope does not do, but that's, yeah, see, that's actually the old, yeah, see, they used to have a 4-channel. Unfortunately, they got rid of it, which is really sad because it looked really cool. I know Royalty Auto has one, if I'm not mistaken. All right, so Sayer, Canadian Diesel, what do you honestly think about the new security access is going to put on all scan tools before end of year for key programming and for all manufacturers? I don't agree with it. Honestly, I don't. It's not going to have the intended purpose of preventing car theft, preventing any of that stuff. People that are stealing cars are not running out and buying an auto. It is just another restriction on the automotive industry, allowing manufacturers to kind of push the aftermarket away. Now, is it going to affect me at all? No. If I got keys to program, I call in a mobile guy. They have keys, they already have their locksmith license. I don't have to deal with keeping various tools upgraded. It's not as convenient to do it in-house, but I don't think about, I don't see it being any benefit to the industry on the automotive, on the aftermarket side of it, because it doesn't affect the dealerships. They already program keys all day long. So I think it's just a detriment for the industry, and it's not going to have the intended purpose. It's just not. So anyway. Paulo, most aftermarket rotors are rust prone in the rust belt on the cars that sleep outside. Yes. The Akabonos are coated on the hats as well as in the spokes. I don't live in the rust belt, so I can't say how well they protect against rust, but for me, they're the least likely to warp and, kind of give me problems. Sayer, AES, Pico, and Hanatech H1000C or B, as they are all all 12-bit and have good software that is expansive. Yeah, I mean, he said he didn't like the hand attack, so. Alfred, which brand of the mountain wrenches is best to go with? The one you can get warranted. Honestly, the one you can get warranted. They are all 100% all made at the same plant. They're all made by Cabo. They were originally marketed by Easy Red. Easy Red lost the exclusivity of it, and then the mountain wrenches came out, the Platinums, the Icons, and various other brands. Whatever brand you can get warranted is, if your tool dealer carries Mountain, go with Mountain, as long as you can get them warranted. Whatever. That's where the most important thing is warranty. Like, I literally bought a new set off my Matco dealer because I could no longer get Mountain warranted, and I paid the extra, but it was the only option I had at the time that would allow me to warranty them, because that was pre-Icon having them even. So I bought them from Matco, paid way too much for them, but I could get them warranted. So yeah, a lot of people are saying the kind of same thing as, yeah, you can buy the Mountain brand is cheaper on Amazon, but warranty is a little harder. Fluffinator. Michael Faraday, oxy torch or heat induction. My preferred is both. I wouldn't want to be limited to one or the other. Oxyacetylene is probably much more versatile because you can, burn out bushings. You can just cut stuff off that won't come off. Like you've got a bolt that's completely seized in a bushing in a shock or strut. You can just take the torch and just cut it off, and then, air hammer out the bits and pop it out. And it, but a lot of times heat, induction, it works really well, especially when you're doing it near a gas tank or something like that. So, but preference, I would take the oxyacetylene torch over a inductive heater. Renegade, my son has the easy red ones, and they said they break easy. He got the Mountain ones and say they're way better. Easy Red, I don't think has the original wrenches anymore. Yeah, they don't have the extended on this set, at least. I don't know who those are made by, but I don't think they sell the original version anymore. I think they've got an updated design. So I don't know, but I've actually never owned the Easy Red ever. I was late. Honestly, I was late to the Mountain wrenches. I was helping a tech work on something, and he was using them, and I was like, what the heck are these? And I had to get a set. But, they'd been out for a while at that point, and that was already when the Mountains had already come out when I got mine. Sour Canadian Diesel. Here's one. Do you think the new Toyota modular trucks will make it in the U.S. market? I want one myself. I mean, it's a Toyota and it's a truck. People will buy it. I haven't really paid much attention to this will probably get me some crap in the comments. I don't like Toyota trucks. I don't like their interior. I'm not really a big fan of working on them. They're big, bulky engines. You know, their air systems suck and always have to be replaced. You know, I don't like them. I just don't. You know, I worked with guys that had Tundras, and I'm like, I don't like the trucks. You know, I got questioned, why didn't you buy a Tundra? I don't like them. I don't like their interior. My personal opinion, take it for what it's worth. Charles Johnstone, I wrote up and my service advisor sold a 39 labor hour ticket on a 2007 Chevy Tahoe, and they approved everything. $11,500. I liked your video about checking the whole car. I bet you do. It's stuff like that. A lot of pessimistic texts are like, oh, they're never going to buy this. Write it up. I mean, if it needs it, write it up. If they don't care, they don't care. But especially you know, safety items, I can't let it not. Just to cover my own butt, I got to write it up a safety issue. But like, oh, it's got an oil leak. Write that up. Whether they buy it is up to them. James Jones, induction also won't get crank bolts hot enough. It will if you've got a big enough inductive heater. But not the kind we get. And probably would take 460 volts, but you know. I've only heated, I don't know, you might be in the diesel market. I don't know. Yeah, no, James Jones said not in the rust belt, but I have a ton of luck with the bolt buster for lightly rusted exhaust nuts and bolts, and wouldn't recommend induction if you're in the. I've had good luck with my inductive. Not for works really good on rusted nuts, less so on bolts, because the heat, as he says, it'll get dissipated by whatever the bolt goes into. Like for instance, a bolt going into a, you know, aluminum cross member, that's where it's corroded to. The aluminum will really dissipate the heat a lot. Whereas with a torch, you can concentrate it on the center of the bolt and you can get it a lot hotter, a lot faster. But there is places where an inductive heater really do come in really, really handy. I don't like them trucks either. Yeah. Nothing personal. It's not like I sit there and, you know, like go in forums and go, you're stupid for buying a Toyota. I don't care. Buy a Toyota. Quick Ranch Chunky says, Toyota trucks aren't comfy. And they will have 2-stroke V6 option. Okay. Quick Wrench, I use heat induction here and there, torch all the time. My go-to was the torch. The torch at the old shop was in my bay. I don't work on anywhere near as much rusted junk at, you know, where I work now. So I don't, you know, use the torch anywhere near as much. But like I was rolling that torch around all over the place, helping techs out. And, you know, that was my first grab over the inductive. These trucks are plain Jane interiors that are made as cheap as affordable commercial truck, no power, anything. I mean, that's cool. I don't personally want to own one, but I like plain Jane trucks that are made to do work. That I can get behind, because that's what trucks are really for. I mean, I drive a fancy truck with leather heated cooled seats and et cetera, and you know, but I mostly commute in my truck. I never got, the guys that will buy the nice truck or car or whatever and then drive some beater POS to work. I'm like, driving an hour in traffic, I want to be comfortable as hell. Is it the best investment? No, but I don't want to hate the commute even more. So, Mars from Cali, love the channel. Will you review safety gear like boot brands, latex glove brands, foam pads, glasses, etc.? Boots, probably not again. I reviewed Redbacks years ago. And it's very, very, very subjective on boots. Simply because, people are different. I have extremely wide feet. And like, for instance, I've never found steel-toed boots that don't just dig into my toes on either side. And so I don't think there's a good subjective way for me to review boots, simply because of that issue. And it's so subjective to how they feel versus something I can quantify, like it does this job well. I hate when it does that, but anyway. Latex gloves, if I have enough interest, going out and buying 15 brands of gloves would be fine. I just don't know how much traction it would really get. Foam pads, again, kind of similar to there's so few foam pads really. That'd be hard to do it'd be hard for that to do anything on YouTube, simply because nobody would care. Safety glasses might be a fun to test. So maybe, but I mean, that's the thing about it is, regardless of producing a video that helps people is what I try to do. And I don't think I could, boots especially, I just don't think I could do that very good justice, simply because my feet are so wide. So like, a lot of times when I order shoes or whatever, if they're not extra wide, they're really not comfortable on my feet. And that might not be your experience. Michael Faraday, you sold me on getting a Torch. It'll be my next purchase. We break for squirrels, don't buy Doc Martens. Quick Wrench, I like Red Wings. It's extremely... James Jones, boots or shoes don't matter, but you need non-slip for sure, and you need to be comfortable in them all day. Yes, that's the big thing about shoes. And he replaces the inserts every 2 months. But yeah, I know. I mean, he makes a good point, is, but for me on content, I just don't know how much how much I can bring value to the video itself. 'Cause it's simply like, I put a pair of boots on that are, you know, not sized properly for my weird feet, and I may give you a bad opinion of a boot that may work perfectly well for you. Sayer, have you seen the latest Bosch ESI update? Not just, hey, you have to renew every year to use it, but damn, it's impressive now. I have not. Bosch ghosted me and every other creator they worked with. They switched. The entire time I worked with them, I had 4 different rep agencies, and then they took it in-house, and then I don't know. So, and nobody's heard from them, and I haven't bothered to try to update my Bosch tool since. You know, it is what it is. Mohammed, hello. Is it enough to get up to 19 millimeter combination wrench set, or is it better to get up to 24? Honestly, I would go with a set to 19, 8 millimeter to 19, and then by 21, 22, and 24. You don't need 20 often. You may, but generally you're not going to, and spending however much you're going to spend on a wrench set for a wrench you're literally not going to use. Like, I have a Mac 20 millimeter because at the time I was doing probably 2 Tahoe Chevy pickup in-tank fuel pumps a week because of the Vortex spider injection. Too low pressure, it wouldn't start. You had to put a new fuel pump in it, you know, and you always replace the fuel filter when you do it had an external fuel filter, and that was 20 millimeters. That was the only reason I bought that wrench, because I was tired of using an adjustable wrench. Chris, if you wear shorts to work, I'd recommend Crocs to round out your safety ensemble. No, flip-flops. Chris, you gotta wear the flip-flops. Oh, it was hilarious. Because at the old shop, I shot videos at 9, 10 o'clock at night, and there'd be a shot where me with my flip-flops on. It's Georgia. I wear flip-flops a lot. And people would just scream in the comments about me working on cars in flip-flops. And I'm like, dude, it's 9:30 at night when I'm filming this. I'm not standing there because, when I was filming those videos, I'd get done with work and I'd hang out till the sun went down and traffic died down. And then I would film my videos. So I was hanging around for 3 hours. Mohammed's an apprentice auto mechanic. Okay, cool. Yeah. 20 millimeters not really useful, so I would probably skip it. As Ban Wan said the same thing, up to 19, then buy individuals depending on your needs. We break for Crocs with a wrench and screwdriver giblets. But yeah, people would go get so up in arms. Same with my wedding ring. I would be, in videos and like, you're working on cars with a wedding ring on? I do. I don't have a problem with it. It slips off fine right now, I not sticking my finger in where it's going to get caught. Even in a shop, every time I wear shorts, I get poison ivy. Where the hell are you work? We break for schools, never use a 23 wrench. I had a cheap Chinese 23 that I used for something, and I don't remember what it was. Whatever I was working on was not a 22, was not any standard wrench. The 23 fitted okay enough to do what I needed to do. I want to say it was a European car, kind of older, but I don't remember at all. But I used a 23 wrench once. And then I don't even know what happened to that wrench either. Sour Canadian diesel. You forgot Lang tools on your list. What is your next one coming? Look forward to it. Lang, Lang's kind of in that, not really hand tools. So that might go in a different list. As far as like comparing it against like OTC, which OTC makes some hand tools and that kind of stuff, but they generally do more stuff like, leak down test systems and, compression testers and stuff like that. And more accessory tools. So that might be a separate list. When I'm going to do another one, I might do one in a couple weeks. I've got some stuff that is scheduled, so it might be a couple weeks before I do that. Sarah Canadian in Pakistani, we only wear flip-flops. It's WCB OSHA mandatory, LOL. James Jones, I also recommend a 26 wrench be added at some point. Toy alignments need them. Yeah, you get into that kind of stuff. You might need a 27. You might need a 32. I think a 36 is needed on some BMWs, I think. Don't quote me on that. I remember I was doing alignment on something, and I had to borrow an adjustable wrench from Bam Bam because it was above the 32 of my set that was down by the alignment rack, and I don't remember what it was. Chris, it took my wife a few years to understand not wearing my wedding ring. I mean, my wife, doesn't care, but I just wear it. If I take it off, it's going to get lost. David, work boots, side job sandals. Sarah Canadian, 23 millimeter forward ball joints. Use it every day. Well, okay. That's where I use 23. If you don't do on forward ball joints, you don't need a 23. Anti, mostly mobile tech now, but even before, it was just my dumb luck. Oh. The poison ivy. Yeah, no. Michael Faraday used to work on forklift trucks for a time, ended up buying every size from 6 millimeter 41. I have wrenches up to 3 inches because I did a lot of hydraulic lines back in the day. And adjustable wrenches that big were stupid expensive. And I bought a Evercraft, I think it is, set at Napa, and they were like $80 or something like that. I forget what. And they work great. Hydraulic lines aren't real stupid, on their stupid tight or anything, so it worked fine. Foxbox, thoughts on Carlisle from Napa. I believe most of the Carlisle line is made at the same place as Icon, Gear Wrench, Capri, Tecton, all that kind of stuff. So they're good quality. They're not going to be Snap-on quality, but they're going to be equivalent to Icon or Gear Wrench or anything like that. JR Neff, 23 millimeter lug socket for Dodge. Hey, the oversized lug nuts don't count. Easy Tech Joe, what's up? I don't know. an hour. You know, just sitting here talking about tools. Positivity Incarnate. Hey there, I was looking at getting a dial indicator for lateral runout because I think we keep running into it at the shop. Yes. If you're having a lot of, I assume you're talking about brake runout. It's a really good way to see if you actually do have runout in the hub. I have diagnosed that where the hub is actually the problem, not the rotor. But yeah, I would definitely look at getting one. Sarah, Canadian diesel 31 and 32 is a must now, and now the 38, or just be like me, go up to 105 millimeter. LOL, get them all. It's like Pokemon, get them all. Do you think the Harbor Freight dial indicator, or what brand would you recommend? You can get a cheap base, but upgrade the dial indicator itself to, I think it's Starrett. Fowler has a decent kit. That's the one I have. Honestly, you can probably buy the base and get like a westward replacement dial, which will probably be a lot better than the Harbor Freight. The base is going to be a lot of the money over just the gauge. So you can probably save yourself a good bit of money buying the gauge separately. Indicator, magnetic base. I mean, you want to get fancy, you can get a Mitu Toyo. Gauge. Or maybe you just buy the Fowler, because the Fowler gauge is 3912 versus 77 or 71 for the gauge and the base. So, I mean, the one I have is from Fowler. So I can say that's, excuse me, very accurately. I mean, I haven't tested the Harbor Freight one to know how good the dial indicator is, but the base is probably the same one you buy from Fowler. Alfred Hammerstein, is it worth buying into the Milwaukee just for the tire inflator? It seems to be the best on the market. It pretty much is. I don't know if it's worth it to you to buy into the Milwaukee ecosystem for the tire inflator, but it definitely comes in really handy around my house with the temperature swings we've had lately. TPMS lights being the way they are, really comes in handy to top off tires so the lights are out and tires are properly inflated. My family loves the tire inflators, the M12 and the M18. Michael Faraday also need a 23 millimeter for Land Rovers. Yep, that is true. Aunt D, at the previous job, I used a giant adjustable wrenches from Harbor Freight. I think 26 long for threaded coolant lines. They work great. I didn't say they didn't work great. Nobody in my area almost 30 years ago had adjustable wrenches that were not stupid expensive that big. It literally wasn't an option. It was like, you know, $400 or something like that for the adjustable, or $80 or whatever for the wrenches. AccuGauge is good quality indicators. Good point. Base no-go gauge. Mitutoyo. You can't go wrong with Mitutoyo. And I know I'm pronouncing that wrong. So. AccuSize, the same manufacturer as AccuGauge. They're nice for the price. Good to know. Junior Neff. Home Depot has some nice wrenches. Add on the day kit above the 19. Thank you. I'll check out the follower, I think. Worst comes to worst, I upgrade the gauge later. Yeah, I mean... Ant D, yeah, I think he's talking about brake runout, which is a pretty precise, measurement. James Jones recommends a Storm, parent company that makes snap-on gauges. Whack Willie's actually bought a Pico 544D MSO instead of the automotive 4425. Would you recommend getting the 4425, or should I keep the 544? Definitely, if you can do it, I would definitely sell the 5 series. That is not they don't work with any of the automotive software. I would definitely try to get the 4425. You definitely want the automotive scope for automotive. Sarah Canadian Diesel, get a caliper depth base for your caliper too. It's a must-have. I think my runout kit from Storm was like $80. Felix F, pronounced as Mitsutoyo, like Mitsubishi. Mitsutoyo, yeah, I always screw it up. I know how I just always screw it up. Renegade, have a good one. Appreciate it. Stoic Steel, I got a dial indicator of 0.0005 from Amazon that I bought 4 years ago. There was no brand on it, so maybe it's not accurate. Positive Incarnate, yeah, I was talking about brake runout and drag brake pulsation when pads and rotors are newer and look in good shape. Yeah, no, it's amazing how many people don't understand things like cleaning hubs. Chris, I spend thousands on tools, but can't bring myself to buy the ad-free YouTube. Got to have your priorities. Hey, watch the ads. I don't care. I don't pay for YouTube Premium either. I just watch the ads. With as many streaming services I pay for, me and my wife, I probably ought to pay for YouTube Premium. But I have 3 channels. Something to keep in mind. I have my personal flat rate, and then I've got my computer channel that I produce content on too. That's $45 for all 3 to be commercial free. Richard Morrison, I have the Noga stuff, pricier than just about anything else similar, really around $150 for the whole setup. Oh, I mean, if it's good, it's good. I will always pay for quality. Noga stuff. Okay. Noga Engineering. Looks pretty good. I don't have any experience with it, but Positivity Incarnate. Actually, I'm curious, is there a favorite company to get stuff for cleaning hubs and around studs? To give you how I do it, I have the OTC hub for the lug nuts. I have that tool in one die grinder, and then a just coarse roll-lock disc in another die grinder. I clean around the studs, and then the hub, the roll-lock disc, the rest of it. If there is residual on the hub itself, the hub-centric part of the hub, I will take a wire wheel and clean that around there to make sure the rotor sits flat. Chris, missed out on the dial indicator chat, but locked in on dyeing my hair and raising my T levels. Obviously an ad played. Hey, you do you. Little side note. This I was watching another computer channel live stream. And one of the discussions was when Google was blocking ad blockers, and I got into a argument in the chat with actually one of his moderators, and he kept talking about the dangerous ads he kept getting. And I'm like, it's based on your search history, dude. If you're getting dangerous ads, it's what are you searching for? Like if I watch gun channels, I'll get gun ads, even though they're probably not monetized, which, guns accessory ads, still get a lot of Hertz ads for some damn reason. James Jones, do you have any cheaper options for cleaning hubs? Because my shop doesn't buy the replacement pads. Twisted wire wheel. Get a wire brush on a die grinder will work just as well. That'll be replaced very less often than roll-lock discs or the OTC pads. Just make sure you wear safety glasses. Ask me how I know. Actually had a wire wheel strand embed itself in a safety glass. So wear safety glasses. At least it was in my eye. Charles, I know this chat just started, but have you ever had a customer ask you, I can't pay for this for 2 weeks, but can you please put a battery maintainer on my battery so it doesn't die during that 2 weeks? No, I have not had that one. I can't say I've had that one. Alfred Hamstein says he has been using a twisted wire brush. Raymond Lopez, thank you for the CAN bus information. The window wiper module went out on the 2016 Nissan Maxima. Now starts up. Awesome. Glad I could be of some help. Ant D, for brake runout, we have a no-name dial indicator with a vice grip brace. We almost never use it. The primary customer just wanted new drums, shoes across the axle. Felix F, I get a lot of industrial ads, PCBs, job shops, tooling, semiconductors. I mean, Maxima. I think I read it as Maxima. But yeah, no. Astro 78. Oh yeah, the half size ones. I have looked at them. I haven't bought them. You know, they seem like they would come in handy, especially for the northern boys. But again, for certain circumstances. Daniel C., what was your first car? It was a 1981 Buick Regal. It was my mom's car. She blew the head gasket on it. I got hit by a drunk driver in my mom's replacement car. So I put that engine in the first car. And she got a new car. Jeff, Junior Neff, Nissan car valve covers with non-replaceable spark plug tools, seal aftermarket. Thoughts? Buy a new valve cover. Buy a new OEM valve cover. Every aftermarket solution is not good. Cutting out the old seals, putting in aftermarket seals, it's just going to leak. In fact, they'll probably fall out. Just buy new valve covers. Anytime I have those kind of valve covers, I will replace them anyway because the original valve covers almost always warp. Gary Fetting, I use the Lisle 13410 hand wire brush around the hub flange and the 3M kit around the studs. Works for me. Works for you. James Jones, what's your opinion on the Milwaukee low profile 3/8 right angle impact wrench? Been considering one for brakes, but I feel it won't have the power. I have a 3/8 stubby M12, but it's just barely 2. I don't think you're going to be impressed with the right angle. Honestly, I don't. It's going to be less than your stubby. Honestly, I normally, because I do a lot of, 17 millimeter caliper bolts, I normally turn the wheel and use a 1/2 inch and an impact swivel. GM that have the original Loctite, I usually just go ahead and grab my long Matco and a straight socket and break them loose. But yeah, no, I mean it's not gonna be worth it for what you're doing, at all. Charles, I made it funny. 96 Ninja Turtles. Anyway, yeah, I had a customer ask me that. I picked this car up today with a dead battery. Positivity Incarnate. Is there really a reason to buy a Matco scan tool since it's just a rebranded launch? Ease of warranty is about the only reason. I mean, honestly, it has their software on top of the launch software, but underneath it's still a launch tool. It's literally handing it to your Matco guy and go, this is broke, I need it fixed. That's the only advantage to buying it through Matco. JWC Tech, I already had the half size for lug nuts, but hadn't seen the regular shallow set. Richard Morrison, I use my Steelman 19.5 12.15 damn near every time I work on a car. There was times I thought about putting my set in my roll cart because I was using it that damn much. JWC Tech, not the most powerful tool, but definitely comes in clutch for me quite often. Yeah, no, I mean, it's a useful tool. It's just like a lot of people want to use it for that kind of stuff. And especially for me, out of habit, I almost always grab a swivel impact rather than a straight socket. And any impact tool going through a swivel is going to have reduced power simply because of the joint. So Charles, GM vehicles Loctite, that shit could sink to the Titanic and still wouldn't break loose. Yeah. James Jones, thanks. I kind of felt that way because I had even trouble using my M12 stubby in automotive. I've only have it from when I'm working on small engines and generators. Don't get me wrong, man. The 3/8 stubby is a really good tool, but caliper bolts is getting a little heavy for that tool. Generally, I'll pull the 3/8 compact if I'm going to use a 3/8 on a caliper bolt. Outdoorsman, I'm looking at buying my first scan tool. I'm considering launch, X tool, and top done. Capability, price, sub costs, etc. Kind of overwhelmed with the options. Yes. That's not surprising. Launch and top done are basically the same. The models all basically do the same, whether or not they're wired or wireless. Once you get into the professional, so if you go to their website, you look at the basic tools, that's just basic stuff. It's not going to do, it may or may not do bidirectional controls. Once you get into the professional line, they pretty much all do the exact same. On the professional line, whether it's X tool or whether it's launch or top done, all you're doing when you go up is buying screen size and additional connectivity, meaning going from wired to Bluetooth up to, like, the premium launch is actually Wi-Fi over instead of Bluetooth connected to the tool. Bluetooth is not the greatest source of connection. Wi-Fi is actually a much better connection. And but the tool capabilities themselves are the same. X tool is based on Autel. It's an offshoot of Autel. So same deal. Once you get into the professional line, they all do the same thing. It's just the added features of the connectivity, whether it's got a Bluetooth dongle versus a wired, connection, et cetera, et cetera. So look at how you use a tool. Like for me, wireless is really important. If you look at the toolbox behind me, I almost always just diagnose, have my toolbox sitting at the scan tool hooked up, unless I need to operate something. Doing evap tests, closing valves, on an evap test, not having it tethered to the vehicle makes it a lot easier to test a GM vent valve if it's actually working, if it has power and ground to it when you actuate it, etc. So, but other than that, they're all very capable tools. Again, professional line, just pick out what works for your budget and how you want to work. Hopefully, Outdoors Man, that kind of helps. Charles, hey, just saying, when customers come in with them lug nuts that are swollen two-piece, want me to do anything with them, they have no option but to buy new ones, one piece. Yeah. Yeah, no, they just get ordered and replaced and put on the bill. Because, no. Chris, nothing says an edited video more than a guy one-handing a caliper bolt with a standard length wrench. Yeah. Brandon Melstead, Matco has the 1/2-inch breaker bar on ad, the 30-inch variety. Do you like yours? I don't have a Matco breaker bar. I have Matco ratchets. my breaker bars are all snap-on and old, and I don't use them. Pretty much just grab my Matco ratchet. So, but that I love. I love my Matco long ratchet. 1/2 inch, 3/8, 1/4 inch. I love them all. James Jones, do you have any recommendations for pinless 3/8 impact swivel sockets? I'd like to have 21, 22, and 24 in that set. Also, my recommendation for pinless is going to be Matco. The US made Matcos are what I recommend if you want pinless. They are the best. And they have them to 21, 22, and 24 as well in 3/8. I only have up to, I think I have 21. I don't have 22 and 24. Chris, I broke my one and only Harbor Freight 1/2 inch ratchet on the first use, breaking my caliper loose. GMC 2500 HD. Yeah. Yep. Turbo, it's been difficult to get into an independent shop since I lack the experience. They don't want an apprentice, and unfortunately, I told them I've done water pump suspension, yada 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 yada. Positive Incarnate, James Tecton has a great set that fits that. That's not, is it pinless? Because he's asking for pinless. Turbo, that does suck. It's a lot of shops don't want to hire young techs, young inexperienced techs that say they have a experience. You might try just going to a dealership or a chain store, working there for a little bit, see if they'll hire you, get in there, work for a little bit, get some experience, and then put out feelers trying to get into another shop once you have job experience. But yeah, it sucks you can't find somebody that'll hire you. Michael Faraday, Autel MK808 is a brilliant starter scan tool. We'll recommend it all day, though. My first one was the original snap-on Solus with the old keys you had to plug in. I have an original red brick. I predate that stuff. JWC Tech, I like my 30-inch Matco locking flex head, but a lot of people claim they break them often. I'm older, so I pull out a breaker bar. Before I break a tool. JWC Tech, I will tell you a story. I worked with a guy who he could break a snap-on ratchet like nothing. Like nothing. Like he would touch it and just snap the teeth off of it. And I mean catastrophically. But he could use his Matcos all day long, have no problem. And honestly, I think it's how people use certain gear mechanisms that causes them to break certain companies' tools. Just a theory. Because I've known people that, and the same thing, I've seen people that just can repeatedly destroy Matco. It's been specifically Matco and Snap-on for some reason. Like, they can destroy a Matco in seconds and use a Snap-on all day. And it's... So I think it's how they position or pull on the tool, what kind of angle they put on the teeth. I don't know, but because I've never had that problem. Usually when I break a ratchet, I know it's about to break. The only exception to that is I was using a coworker's Husky ratchet. No idea. I just sheared the head right off of it, fell down on the floor, face first, and I borrowed him my long Snap-on after that. My son has broke 3 24-inch snap-on half-inch ratchets. I said, I think it's just it's just like the angle of the dangle kind of thing. Raymond Lopez on a 2006 Toyota Camry, don't get aftermarket MAF sensor. Shorted out electrical module this week, had one. Every 3 parts store went bad. Don't get aftermarket. I told my customers so many times. They don't get. Yeah. I don't like aftermarket electronics. Milton Martinez, I don't like having a budget. Cost customer triple, yeah. Aunt D, what would you recommend for an upgrade for an older MX 808? And an older one, probably I would recommend replacing it. I would go, if you can afford it, I would go up to the next level of the Autels. Oh, that's not what I want. Diagnostic tools. Oh. Maxi check, Maxi diag. 808. It's an MD. MX. Yeah, I mean, you can get the... I mean, honestly, if you're happy with the what the MX 808 does, you know, you get a updated one. I'd probably go more towards a MS 906 Pro, personally, because I guess the MX 808 is discontinued now. So, or the Maxi Check MX 900. I mean, yeah, I mean, I'd go either, if you're happy with what the tool does, I'd go get an MX 900, or if you want to upgrade to wireless, the MX 906 Pro, which is probably considerably more. But that's kind of where I would lean towards. Isolated, as an at-home DIY, would you recommend getting a 3/8 impact or a 1/2-inch impact as my only impact? Kind of depends on what you're doing. If you're doing a lot of like brake work and having to take wheels on and off, I would go the 1/2-inch. If you're doing mostly like water pump replacements, you know, hot rodding, stuff like that, I'd probably go more the 3/8. My recommendation on an electric impact would probably be the Milwaukee mid-torque as a good compromise between 3/8 and 1/2-inch. And I'd get it in 1/2-inch. Because it's not stupid strong enough and bulky enough that you can use it most places. It's still going to be pretty strong for a lot of the smaller 3/8 stuff or the smaller fasteners, but I'd probably go that route, simply because it's going to be more versatile. Tubro, I wanted to work at an independent place where I wanted to learn more and felt that I would be a better place than a dealership. I agree with that, Tubro. I'm just saying go work at a chain store or a dealership to get that experience on your resume so you can go get a job at an independent. Use it as a stepping stone, not as a permanent landing place. Simply because that way you can get your foot in the door, get that experience on your resume. Say, I work at the dealership or I work at XYZ tire store. Now they'll think about hiring you a lot more. I'm just kind of offering a way to get your foot into the industry so you can move on from there. I'm not saying go stay at a dealership or a tire store. I'm saying get your foot in the door and then move on. James Down, we've all had to start as lube tech. It's like taxes. Everyone hates them, but everybody has to do it. One difference is you can move up and not just do lube stuck forever. Exactly. I mean, just a way to get your foot into the industry. Mick Hext, I've broken more Mac tools than any other tool brand. I did the tier list. I did not rank Mac tools all that great. I think I put it in the same category as Matco, but that was because really they don't make tools. Positivity Incarnate, what was the worst time you broke a bolt while working on a car? The worst was a United States Marshals. Let me preface this. I was doing head gaskets on a Ford 4.0 Explorer. It was owned by United States Marshals, and doing head gaskets in the vehicle with the timing holder things for the rear chain. Put it all in there. The front two bolts, I had to borrow an inch Torx wrench, and the only one in the shop that had one was Harbor Freight, and it never clicked. And I broke the bolt off in the head. Didn't have to drill it out. It just unscrewed. But having to take the head back off really, really, really sucked. That was probably the biggest pain in the butt. Breakage. There's many stories of broken bolts. Like there was one vehicle I was doing an oil pan on. I was putting a brand new oil pan on it, and I wound up replacing, after the second time I had to pull it back apart because whoever was in there before me over torqued the absolute snot out of the little 6mm bolts. I had to replace every bolt. I just said, screw it. It's getting all new bolts after having to redo the RTV twice after breaking zip, zip, zip. I didn't even ooga-dooga. It was, it was 1/4 inch too, and just snap bolts like left and right. But that's one of the biggest pain in the butts. Carl Bryington, we use the poop out of Akabono pads and Pronto rotors. James Jones, I think I've only broken my 1/4 inch long handle snap-on with a 14mm because I couldn't fit a 3/8 ratchet in there. I've broken my Matco 1/4 inch long, kind of the same way. JWC Tech, the funny thing about my son, though, he was borrowing them when he broke them. Tubro, I don't know what dealership to look at. European seems stressful. They're actually pretty easy. European cars are just different than American cars. Diagnostics different. They do things a little differently. They're not that bad. American cars are not that labor intensive. Labor times on Chrysler products or those kind of products are crap. Japanese cars seems more ideal to work on, in my opinion. At an aftermarket shop, you're going to work on what you work on. I would, for ease of what you want to work on, I would look at domestic or Asian dealerships or tire shops and just get your foot in the door. You're going to mostly be changing oil and air filters and tires and stuff like that. Get your experience and then go find a good independent shop to work on with that experience. The only reason I don't recommend European is because that'll kind of narrow your focus, and it might cause some domestic independent shops that work on, you know, American and Japanese cars maybe to look at you a little funny if you only worked on European. That's why I say American or Japanese. Broaden your horizons on what shops will hire you. Charles, what about a steering gear and an 09 Wrangler remanufactured so bad you could feel the teeth moving and watch the tires jumping because of it? Oh, I've gearbox remanufacturers, steering gear remanufacturers. I can't tell. It's so rare to find one that's good. And those things suck to put in. I put one in. I put one in a Tahoe. It was like a 98 Tahoe. And because the original one was just puking fluid out. And the old one that had like 170,000 miles on it drove so much better than the new one. And I warrantied again, and both were AC Delco. So, you know, and it was AC Delco premium, not the cheap junky line. And the second one was just slightly better. So doesn't even surprise me. Chris, I remember using a snap-on breaker bar and a 1.25 motorhome lug nuts. Full send on one. I would pause when I heard the snap. Didn't know if the bar broke or my shoulder to be young again. Charles, but it was only $200. Yeah, the shop eating the cost on a new one. Charles, sorry, I don't want to come, I assume, rant on your channel. I think I'm just going to go watch from here. Oh. Aunt D, I think the corn removal dealer was talking about the Autel 900 something for updating the MOX. Yeah, it's a 908. It's an MX 909 or something like that. I forget exactly the number. Yeah, that's the newer model of the same tool you have. James Jones, hello. American cars seem labor intense. Just wait to see how much labor is involved with some Toyotas or Nissan. Yeah, Charles, hey, I did just get an update automatic 25 days ago on my Zeus Plus version 24.2. It's badass. You can do multiple electronic part changes without calling diagnostic programmers. Okay. Raymond Lopez, your opinion on how is X-Tools D9 Pro topology scanner? It's an Autel. The Autel It's Autel Suite. It's great. I have no complaints about Autel software. So it'll work as well as an Autel. Charles, you're fine, man. Positivity Incarnate. Okay, what brand would you recommend for an inch-pound torque wrench? I was considering getting something Texton split beams for foot-pounds, but wanted something for little bolts. Honestly, if you can get a split beam from anybody, you're fine. For that low torque, you're fine. I remember when I was looking for if I remember right, there wasn't a lot of good options on quarter inch on torque wrenches. I mean, honestly, I'd probably recommend the gear wrench over anything more expensive. It's not that precise. You just don't want it to be unwholly accurate. I have the Snap-on quarter inch, but I was doing a lot of BMWs at the time when I bought it, and you had 9 inch pounds and then 90 degrees, and you did not want to over torque those bolts because they will snap. And then all the oil coolers I do on 3.6 Chryslers, those get torqued. But the gear wrench, quarter wrench probably should be fine. Charles, what's the best company as far as tool trucks to come to your area? As far as warranty tools, fastest warranty response time. Snap-on's probably the best in that regard over the state of Georgia. Matco is probably second best, and Mac is, depending on the area of town, because there's a Mac dealer that's been doing it probably as long as I've been a tech, and he's still doing it as last I heard. He used to be my Mac dealer. I moved away from where he was, but he's still in business. So, but that would be how I'd rank in the Metro Atlanta area, at least. Tubero, Toyota and Honda seem like they'd be constantly busy with oil changes and repairs. Probably not convenient for me to work there. A brand that sells less so that I can spend more time learning instead. Turbro, every dealership you go to work for as a starting technician, you're going to be doing oil changes. It's just the nature of the business. You're not, unless they're a super busy dealership, they're not going to be that busy, and they'll give you lots of training material that you can do on your, at your convenience when you're slow, at home, etc. So it's just a way to get you into the industry so you can get that experience so you can go work at a good shop. I know it's not the most fun prospect, but Brandon Melstead, does anyone have experience with 95 Dakotas? I can't get mine to stay running when you hit the gas. It idles just fine. I'm stumped. 5.2, by the way. 95. I'll have to think about that one. I haven't worked on a 95 Dakota in a very, very, very long time. Aunt D, I'm in Massachusetts. Almost every truck shop, including mine, is hiring. Some of them just require a clean drug test, a pulse. Not sure how that would cross to auto, but you get the experience. Yeah. No, I mean, there's lots of shops out there. As James Jones says, too, bro, it's really just about getting a year of experience more than anything. For sure, it might suck doing the basics, but I promise there's a lot to learn even in the express lane. They will throw as much training material at you as you want. as you will take, they will throw it at you. James Jones just says avoid take 5 oil change places, or yeah, I didn't. If you notice, James Jones, I did not. I said tire stores. I did not say quick change, a quick oil changes. I said dealerships or tire stores, for that exact reason, because they don't want to hire people from quick lubes. Chris, what's your preference on portable AC gauges? Yellow Jacket or the other AC company, MasterTech or Master Cool. I've got a Master Cool gauge set. Junior F, Nissan dealer to start Dodge for hardline for starter techs, then Ford take cab off to replace stupid parts. Rich Thumb, when all the YouTubers say Gear Wrench is done, what are we talking about? The company or the company as a whole? I don't know what who's saying Gear Wrench is done, because definitely nothing I hear about it. It might just be because Gear Wrench decided to quit sponsoring them. I've never had any affiliation with Gear Wrench, so I don't know anything about that drama. Isolated, as parts advisor for a Toyota dealer, I can assure you we do a lot more than just oil changes. Yeah, you know, but it's you know, we're recommending a place for you to go get a, you know, Tubro. We're recommending a place for you to get experience on your resume. It may not be the best experience. It may be below what you already know, but it's all about getting the experience. And if let's just say that dealership hires you, they see that what you can do, they'll move you up fast. If they can get you in the regular shop out of the quick lube and get you working on regular cars, they will. So it's just about getting you in the door to get you to, they will get you moved up as quickly as they can see fit. And if you've got that experience, you may move up really quick in those dealerships. So, but it's really about how to get you the experience on your resume to get you the job you want. But yeah, Andy, there's a ton to learn from oil changes. Fox Box 923, how long should a check be in the oil change tire category? It very much depends on the tech and the shop. And some of it sucks. So I'm not saying this is how it should work. When you watch a young technician in a shop, if he's having a behavior that needs to be corrected a lot, meaning he's making stupid but not expensive mistakes, meaning, you know, he left a fingerprint on their window, or there's a lot of that kind of stuff, that lack of attention to detail, it's going to take them longer to move up out of that category because they're not seeing the maturity when it comes to, you know, details. So it very much depends on the technician themselves, but a lot of techs really should move pretty quickly out of that category if they're decent. And the reason I say, and it also depends on the place, because like, let's say you get hired on as a quick lube guy at a independent shop, and they really don't have a place to put you as a tech because all their tech positions are filled and you're doing a good job as the lube tech. So they might give you a little bit more involved to do, but they may not move you out of that position simply because they don't have a good way to move you up. But on average, I would say after a year, a decent oil change tire person should be moving into the next category after about a year. But your mileage will vary on that depending on the situation you're in and how they see you. I know that's very vague, but it varies. There's no steadfast rules. As James Jones says, I promise, Dubro, if you go to a dealership in Express Lane, they will give you training. They will. And if you show passion, they're going to flood you with training. Yep. They will give you as much training as you will take. And it's rare to see young, new talent in this field. And if they see that you have talent, they will kick you up to the main shop pretty quickly once you get all that training that they need you to get done. Brandon Melstead, OBD1 sucks. Yes, it does. I don't have the old brick style scan tool to help. LOL. It's Chrysler product, so you can do the key. What is it? On off 4 times. Leave it on the last time, and it'll flash codes, and you can look them up. Throttle position sensor would be where I would go. About that Dodge is judging by the fact that it's either going to be the map sensor, or what I would be looking at is the map sensor or the throttle position sensor, because something with load is not happy when the load changes. So as long as you have good fuel pressure to the fuel injection system and everything else is good, I would be looking either at throttle position or the map sensor on that particular vehicle off the top of my head without looking at it. Tyler Day, hey, from Muskoka, Ontario, Canada. How you doing? Rich Thom, moving up as a tech is all about quality. Try for a few comebacks, all the bolts and brackets in place, no broken trim pieces. Yes. Details matter. Yeah, as I said, I think it's 4 times, maybe 4 times, maybe 3 times. It's been years since I've had to do the key trick. I have a snap-on, I still have a snap-on red brick. It's in storage somewhere, but I have one. But yeah, it's all about quality. You do a good job, they'll move you up, as long as there's a place to move you to. All right. We got any final questions before I head out of here? Nope. I love that. Jazz says, I have my first interview tomorrow as a diesel technician. Any tips? If they ask you be honest, yes. If they ask you, personal flaws or something like that, don't do a fake BS, I'm I try to be too perfect. Give honest answers. But don't give anything, incriminating, I like to go on benders and I might not be here on Monday kind of thing. Even if that's the truth. Be more generic, but be honest, emphasize you care about, quality. You want to portray somebody that's going to be a good fit for their team. And, you want to portray the fact that, you're interested in coming to work for them, make sure you know a lot about the company itself, so you can, be informed. And remember, you're interviewing them as much as they're interviewing you. So ask your own questions. It's, how often are people leaving here? How have they been around a long time? Why are you hiring somebody? Ask questions as well as answering their questions. Brandon Melstead, thank you, everyone. It's my dad's old truck, and the reason I have it is because it's sentimental attached, LOL. Yeah, I can understand that. But yeah, no, you're interviewing them as well as they're interviewing you. Ask good questions. Ask about equipment, how often it's replaced, repairs. Ask good questions. James Jones, I've seen people come in and leave the next week because they lied. Yes. Yeah, be honest. Be willing to learn. Alexi, what's up? Joss, I'm glad we could help. I appreciate it. All right. Unfortunately, Alexi, I'm going to go ahead and head out of here. So appreciate everybody stopping by. Yeah, James Jones, that's good advice. Treat the customer better than you own your own vehicle. If something is right, fix it or let the customer know. Always do right by the customer. The customer is why we're here, to take care of their vehicles. All right, so as always, thanks for watching. I am the Flat Rate Master. Later.